everybody, and welcome to Putting the Horse First. I'm Isabeau Solace,
my co-host,
Kelly Klein, and our guest for today is Anna Jabateh. Anna, why don't you tell us a little about where you're from and what you do there?
Well, I'm from Poland. Obviously, because I have horses, I live in a village. And the name of the village is Czarne Błoto, which means exactly black mud. And this is funny, I know. But this is what the name of the village is. Yeah. It's located near Toruń. It's a city maybe famous for Nicolaus Copernicus and the gingerbreads.
That's so great. Anna, and tell us about what you do with horses there. Do you have a riding school? And who are your students if you do?
Yes. Okay. I have a riding school. My own riding school I've had for 22 years. Before I taught riding in different schools, and I observed many things. And the thing that I didn't want to do in my school, I did not want to torture horses. Yes, the only thing that I do now is I do individual lessons, and not everybody is allowed to ride in my school. We have weight limits. Yeah, it's for the horses' sake. Yeah, only. Yeah, and it's so important because I love all my horses. All of my school horses are special. They are ponies. They are older horses. Some of them are rescue horses. Some of them are horses that have sport horses that people did jumping on, and other very important, they were competition horses, and now they are in my school. They teach people, they teach children, and it's very important for me that they are first. They are the most important. So if somebody calls my school and wants to learn riding, I first ask their age, their weight, and their experience, and I see if I have a horse for them. If I don't, then I say sorry.
That's great. That's great. So everybody that calls in, you ask those questions. How did you come to this way of doing your riding school like this? Was it something that you saw or something that you observed over time, or just had a feeling about? How did you come to this?
All of it. All of the things that you say, Kelly. I observed that school horses in the world, not only in Poland, I observed that school horses are sad. They are sad horses. They are shut down. Sometimes they say that they don't want to do stuff, and then they are sold, because they didn't, they didn't, they weren't suitable for the riding school. And this is so sad because the owners of those schools, they don't look at them as those very important ones, the only important ones actually. They teach people, they suffer, and that's what I did not want to do in my school. I observed how they behave. I observed what they say to me after this person and this person has ridden on them. And then what I try to do is, as quickly as possible, of course, teach those people to ride in a way that they don't disturb the horse, that they don't hurt the horse. I try to teach them the light seat, the best balance that they can. If I see, for example, that a horse is not suitable for that rider, I change the horse quickly. I look for a different horse from my school so that neither the horse nor the student is suffering. And this is very important.
That's so awesome. So what would you say your definition of putting the horse first means to you? Is it physical, emotional? What are all the different aspects that you look at when you are putting the horse first in your school and also in your own life? Because you have your own horses too, right?
Yes, I do. Oh, this is, we could talk about that for hours. Well, for example, okay, there is this school horse, a big one. His name is Loco. I got him a year ago, and a friend actually rescued him. He's a very big horse, 1.67 meters in withers height. In centimeters. And he's very big. And a friend actually last year, she rescued him from a very, very bad school. He was shut down. He just didn't, okay, you can do to me whatever you want. He was very calm. He was, obedient. He just went on the walls, walked, trot, canter, left, right. He didn't say anything. People in that previous school were bumping on his back, the hands were doing, pulling everything. And he did not react to anybody. She told me, Anna, this is a perfect school horse for you. I rescued him. I bought him because the owner didn't like that horse. I didn't know why. So she said that she has to rescue that horse. She bought him back. He spent 3 months at her place just not doing anything. And he came to my place like for a trial, for me to see if he would be suitable. And for 3 months, he just didn't say anything. He just do. And well, I looked at that horse and I cried. Really, the first time I took him into the indoor, I didn't take him to the lesson. I just took him into the indoor. It was winter. And I just took him on the very long line with like a long whip, but I didn't use it. I just wanted to observe the horse. And he just stood there. And I said, wow, okay, let's, follow me, come with me. And he was like, okay, whatever you say. And he followed me and he looked somewhere. And I was just so sad. I just let him, stopped him. I wanted to see what the backup looked like. He was very obedient, like, of course, I will back up, no problem. I said, oh God. I took him on the lounge line. He was like, oh, no. But no problem. Walk, trot, canter, left, right. What do you want? I'll do everything. And I cried, seriously, I cried. And, this girl said to me, Anna, don't worry, 3 months in your place and he'll be fine. And you know what? She was right. He went to the meadows with friends. He has, Callie, you know him. He has Mr. Arab as a friend and another horse that was a jumping horse, an old guy, 24 years old, but he's still running. He's still teaching kids, and he has these 2 friends in the paddock with him. And he was like, oh, okay, I can go outside. I can be there with friends. And he got food. He was like eating all the time, eating, as if he didn't get enough. And he was really sad in the lesson and very obedient. Everybody in my school could ride. But what I said to the people in the lessons, like, be careful, be careful with his mouth, be careful with his back, be careful with the balance, a light sit in the canter only, let him, canter on the loose rein so that he could rest and raise his back. And after a couple of weeks, he was like, really, he started to smile. This is what I observed, really. Maybe somebody would laugh at me who hear this, but no. And you know what? But for the first 2 or 3 months, we put almost everybody on him because he was very nice and everybody loved him. And everybody said, oh, this horse is so easy to ride. And so, turning left, right, walk, trot, canter, no problem. And then we put a guy, he rode my older horses and they were fine, this horse. He sat on him and suddenly he said, no. Okay, he said, this guy, he doesn't know stuff and I won't turn, I won't go. He's starting to go into the walls and ooh. And I said, okay, what happened to this horse? Today, he says what he thinks. He tells the people, hey, wait a minute, you're not doing this correctly. And he goes, it's not very dangerous, but I'm like, whoa, what happened to this horse? He is finally a horse. He is finally, speaking out loud that, hey, you need to, know what you're doing.
That's amazing. You allowed him to speak. You put him in a place where he had the choice to say something.
Yes. And now he has grass, he has his friends, but then he slowly comes back and says okay, sorry. And such horses come to me because, I cannot afford a perfect school horse if there is a definition for that. It's people have a psychops, thinkers, and they do the job, because of their nature, of their character. But due to that, these horses, traditional riding school, they often become sad. And this is not what I want. This is what I don't want.
So great. That's so great. So what is the name of your school there in Poland?
Stajnia w czarnym błocie. It means the stable in black mud. Just like that. Because of the village. Because
that's great, though.
That's how we called it. And everybody knows, that, okay, there is a stable here.
Great. And what would you say is when your students come to you, do you teach children only or adults also?
Don't teach beginner adult. They're too heavy for my horses. I try to explain it in a way that I don't hurt the person's feelings, that I explain that I am putting the horse first, Well, overall, on the whole, riding is difficult, and it would be great if every person had a horse that is ideal for the level that they are at the moment. That would be ideal. Then again, it would be ideal if every student rode at least 3 times a week. And people don't do that. And that is why there are problems. I mean, I really, really try to break things down to the minimum, to the littlest pieces possible. And I teach very slowly. And of course, my teaching changes. From year to year, I teach differently. But I get more experience. I observe more. I train my horses on the ground. I also train myself. I train my eye. That makes me change. And I think it's for the better. I try, obviously. I don't want to blame them. It's difficult to ride. It's sometimes there is fear, in those people. And then it's not that they cannot do something on local. For example, on a circle to the right, he sometimes catches their inside hand and enlarges the circle a little bit and goes a little bit out. And, what they have to do is mildly bring him back, like bend him a little bit and say to him, hey, no. you stay on that circle. But then they have to sit correctly. They have to use the outside leg. They have to use the outside hand for a moment, but they just need to quickly correct the horse a little bit. But if they don't notice that he's doing a little thing, a little disobedience, a little like, maybe not, if they don't notice that and if they don't correct him, then he does the bigger things. Then he just goes and they're like, oh, And when they let him do it once, twice, or three times, then what I need to do is like, I need to sit on him and correct him, which I can do, thank God. And then I have to give the horse to the more advanced riders, and the riders that spoiled him are banned on him for 2 weeks or so. It's difficult, but that's what I have to do. He's 7 years old. It would be ideal if he had a perfect horse childhood. Yeah. If a professional rode him for a year or two after being broken in, I hate the word, but I have to use it. If a real professional rode him, when he was 4 years old, 5 years old, and then maybe the advanced students rode him, and maybe then after 2 or 3 years, maybe beginners could ride him when he's 10 years old and not now. Yeah, it's really difficult. I could talk about that for hours.
Right.
Does that answer your question, more or less?
We could talk about this for hours, and actually that's why we love having this podcast, is because we think it's going to grow and build with people like you that are bringing their little part of the world insight into the rest of the world. So, Isabeau, is there anything else that you wanted to add or ask or share?
Yeah, sure. So Anna, everything you're saying is I have taught on and off over the years and definitely resonating with me a lot. When I'm thinking specifically at the time when I've taught summer camps, which I've taught three different summers. So these are all kids. Say I could have a group of kids and they're all 10 years old. Some of those kids maybe have very little riding experience, but they are tremendously athletic. And within a very short period of time, those kids are walk, trot, cantering, jumping, and asking me if they can try sitting on the horse backwards. And other kids who maybe have been taking lessons for 2 years, they cannot post, they do not know diagonals. So thinking about this could be a good opportunity for us to invite our listeners to come in and give us some feedback. Thinking about how to navigate that conversation that Anna is having in her riding school, we want to put the horses first. We also want our customers, them to be able to enjoy horses and to progress with horses. But as someone, I'm 52 and I am very not athletic. And that's one of the reasons why horsemanship has been such an intellectual pursuit for me, because I don't have a lot of physicality to bring to it. Very little, as a matter of fact. But that's difficult to sell to lesson students as listen, you may take lessons once a week for a year. And at the end of that year, you may still be struggling to post a trot. This other person might be jumping in 2-3 courses without stirrups. And that's difficult for us to come into market with those facts and try to come up with a way of, conveying this to people in a way that's compassionate, empathetic, not rude. We want to put the horses first. There are a lot, for me, I come back to, there are a lot of avenues to progress with horses. And yes, I'm not going to be like that one person who's jumping bareback in a year, but there's a lot of other stuff to learn. So yes, Anna, I find I have encountered many of these issues too. And it sounds like riding schools in Poland have a lot of the issues as riding schools in the United States. And here, a lot of customers, they'll just pick up and leave. So professionals or riding school owners are faced with, well, do I try to hold a certain standard, but I can't earn enough money to keep the school going? Or how do you balance between the free market and doing what you want to do that's right? That's probably a good topic for us to pick up for another podcast or to get feedback from our listeners from. But yes, we are lately honing in more and more on how we can treat our horses better, how we can teach our students better. Now we kind of got the problem of how do we deal with the fact that we're all coming into this with very different inherent skills, inherent physical just attributes just naturally, which can really affect how fast folks progress.
Yes, true. And also horses have their own different physicality and ability skills also. So like Anna said earlier, making that match and having the horse for that person. Tried to do wind sailing once when I was in France, and it was a complete disaster. They told me it was going to be hard. They're like, you're not probably going to get this. And I said, I'm got pretty good balance. And I did a little, but they were right as usual. And
Yes.
I was completely wrong, but it's not even wind sailing is difficult, but it's not an animal. It's a thing, but then you have the ocean and the waves and you have all this other influence, much like a horse, where it seems like it's all going to be so easy, but then you have all these other outside influences that can create challenges for the horse and for the rider. And I think it's 100% right on. Thank you, Anna. It's just so lovely to see you.
It is great to see you, and it was very awesome to hear your stories.
Yes.
And it is very impressed that riding schools in Poland are very similar to what we have in the United States.
Okay, well, before we share our email address, is there anything else that you'd like to add, Anna?
Well, ask. I don't know. You know exactly. I can talk about horses for hours. It's our passion. It's our passion. We love those horses, and we want what is best for them. And our hearts hurt when they are hurt by our customers. And what I do on those lessons, I really sometimes I think so hard what to say to them that they ride in a way that they don't, ruin that horse, and very often I can do it. And I've come to the moment where I have only clients who really want to be here. They're just the same people. Sometimes somebody new comes and then I tell them the rules. The rules are the horses first. Yeah. And they sometimes are like, what? And then I explain why. And then I tell them how the horse feels. And that is very important that a person rides systematically. Like, once a week, it's not enough. But okay, you can start once a week. But then most people who ride here ride at least twice a week. And 3 times a week is perfect, and blah, blah, blah. And then, for the welfare of the horse, you need to listen, you need to focus, you need to not bump on the horse's back, not do this, not do that, but try your best. And me and my fellow instructor will tell you how. And, we say you're welcome, to be here with us and to be a part of this community. And these people are like, oh, okay. And some of them try and say, okay, well, sorry. But recently, most of them stay, and that is really, they stayed for so many years. I have girls who are like 8 years old, and now they're 18. Yeah, or they were 10, and now they're 20, and they're still riding here. And their riding is really beautiful. It's really beautiful. So, and I'm really grateful that they stayed, and they're like, okay, grateful that they can be here, that they are appreciated, and some of them come to help, and they ask me, okay, can you teach me to work this horse from the gown? Can you teach me, okay, how can I do that this horse feels better? And this is what they do. Like today, a student came and took a horse, on the capison, just to do the circles, some shoulder in, some haunches in, some stuff. And I looked a little bit and I say, hey, this student has had like a break for a year from this kind of work. But she's been riding at my place for 10 years. Wow, and she still remembers it. And the horse remembers it. I'm like, wow, and this is not bad quality, I told her. And I was like amazed and so happy and so grateful. And we were like, yeah. And it's hard, but in the long run, it pays off. I love it.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that with us. That is very encouraging. Probably a good place for us to wrap up. All right. So thank you to all our listeners for joining us here on episode 3 of our brand new podcast, Putting the Horse First. If you have any feedback for us about our podcast or have any questions, we'd love to hear from you. If you want to shoot us an email at puttingthehorsefirst, that's with a number 1 ST at gmail.com. Thank you very much for listening.